Are you thinking about moving to Dallas, Texas? Well, the truth is, it's not for everyone. And trust me, after we've gone through all 12, you might rethink everything. But hopefully after watching this entire video, you'll have the information to know whether or not living in Dallas, Texas is the right fit for you. Let's go ahead and get into it. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Alexis Amaripa. I've been helping people buy and sell real estate here in the Dallas area for the last few years or so. I've been living here my entire life, which is more than enough time to know the good, bad, and downright frustrating parts about living in Dallas, Texas. And on this channel, I like to talk about what it's like living in Dallas, providing neighborhood updates, and offering tips to home buyers and sellers. Now let's get back to the video. So oftentimes when I have people mention that they want to live in Dallas or that they're thinking about it, I really like to be upfront and honest and just shoot them straight. And so I'm going to list the 12 reasons that I typically give them as to why they may not actually like living here. So number one on my list is traffic and congestion. So traffic, like in most big cities, is a very common thing here in the Dallas Metroplex, especially during peak hours. Major highways like I-35 and I-635 always seem to be under some sort of construction. And of course, this can add on delays to traffic. With the rapid population growth that we've been seeing in the last few years, this is only adding or worsening the problem. Now, the Texas Department of Transportation has some ongoing projects that are going to be expanding highways and infrastructure, for example, I-35. However, these projects can take years, so traffic relief isn't going to necessarily be something immediate. And I mean, the rise of remote work and remote jobs has slightly eased the rush hour. However, it's nothing too noticeable. The second thing you might hate about living in Dallas, Texas is the very unpredictable weather. The Dallas climate can sometimes be a little bit extreme or somewhat bipolar. Around the late spring and early summer, we can have triple-digit summer heat to sudden tornado warnings, and the winters occasionally bring ice storms, which the city just isn't really too well prepared for. And this sometimes almost paralyzes the city just because it isn't really too equipped for snowstorms or ice storms. Another thing to note are the very extensive and hot summers. Summers here are pretty relentless, right? We have temperatures reach upwards of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And with us sometimes having high humidity, this can make things feel a lot worse. And if you really think about it, this can also have an effect on your utility bills, especially if you're going to be using the AC a lot more. We do see that many new homes and developments are including more energy efficient designs that should hopefully help lower cooling costs. There isn't much that we can do about the climate here. However, being environmentally conscious or aware can help or have an impact. But local officials are trying to work on having better plans as far as their storm preparedness goes. But we'll see how this goes this upcoming winter. And number 3 on the list, we have rising costs of living. Unfortunately, Dallas isn't immune to inflation that we've all been feeling throughout the nation. Just like in a lot of other major cities, housing prices in Dallas have gone up quite a bit, especially in neighborhoods such as Uptown, Highland Park, a lot of suburbs near the northeast Dallas areas, suburbs nearby such as Frisco, Plano, Prosper, and just many more. I mean, we've really seen huge changes, I'd say, throughout the whole Metroplex. I know Dallas used to be seen as affordable quite some time ago, but that's all kind of changing now. Housing prices are climbing, but that's not stopping people from moving here. But if you are in a budget, it can be a little bit tough to find a great deal or something that's relatively affordable. Property taxes are also a major concern. While Texas doesn't have a state income tax, we do have property taxes, which can be a huge concern. Now, the good news is that some suburban areas are offering or developing more affordable housing options, and city leaders are exploring different or new ways to increase housing options, like encouraging the use of mixed-use developments and streamlining permitting processes for builders. Now, the fourth reason on my list is the lack of public transportation. While we do have DART, which serves some areas pretty well, it leaves large portions of the Metroplex without public transportation. Because of this, most residents have to rely on some kind of vehicle to get around the city. And like I've already brought up, traffic can get a little bit hectic and just outright frustrating. DART is trying to expand its reach. I think they have a few projects, for example, Silver Line, which will hopefully connect some of the northern suburbs. Additionally, there are talks of, improving some bus routes throughout the city, but these changes can sometimes take a lot of time. But some of these plans and changes, but just like with any other big plans, however, these plans are going to take quite some time to address the city's very unique layout. At number 5, we have urban sprawl. What I mean by urban sprawl is this. Dallas is one of the largest metro areas within the US, and because it's so large, suburbs tend to be very disconnected, and so it almost feels like there's a lack of cohesive or almost like a lack of effort put into the urban design of suburbs. This can cause things to feel a little bit difficult when it comes to maybe sensing some kind of community with neighborhoods being so separated from each other. So a lot of us residents, this can be quite a normal thing, but to people coming from areas that have a lot more of a cohesive feel, they'll be able to really notice the differences. Now, cities such as Plano, Frisco, and Richardson are developing some more self-contained communities with walkable town centers. And I've noticed a lot of other suburbs with similar plans, which should hopefully reduce the need for long commuting. Some communities with a mix of work, play, and living, which is becoming increasingly popular. We see this a lot in European countries, but it's starting to kind of take off a little bit here in certain parts of the US. At number 6, I have a lack of green spaces. While areas such as Cladwarren Park, White Rock Lake, and even the Cedar Ridge Preserve offer beautiful green spaces, a lot of areas lack. Some areas, especially some that are a little bit more detached from Dallas, have less access to parks and outdoor areas that are filled with nature. You can find a lot of different parks and green spaces within Dallas, especially now with all of these new projects that we're seeing. However, in some suburbs that are a little bit further out, you don't see as many green spaces or parks. The views are also a little bit boring. What I mean by that is Dallas is mostly a prairie, and so it's just a very flat area. You don't really have too many places where you can go sightseeing or really enjoy the outdoors. I mean, you can, but it's not as great as other places that have mountains, huge forests, or beaches. At number 7, we have allergies and air quality. Dallas being located in North Texas means high levels of pollen because we have cedars, ragwoods, and oak. Combined with the city's growing population and gas emissions, the air quality can be affected. Obviously, you're going to see this in every big city, but it's definitely something to take note of, especially if you're not coming from another big city. The city is promoting greener transportation options, for example, some electric buses and bike lanes to help out with this. At number 8, we have limited walkability. Dallas, once again, very car-centric, and this really shows, especially in the downtown area. We do have sidewalks and crosswalks. They can be a little bit inconsistent, and public spaces aren't always connected with the infrastructure. We are starting to see a lot more changes when it comes to this, though. We're seeing a lot of parks being upgraded. For example, the Katy Trail and the Trinity River program, which are aiming to make the city more walkable. We also have some urban planners who are aiming to revitalize the downtown and a lot of other areas in some of the surrounding suburbs. Number 9, we have a polarizing culture. So Dallas is in the South, so we have a Southern charm, which I love, but it also carries a very fast-paced, business-focused environment. While a lot of people thrive in this lifestyle, or some people can thrive with this lifestyle, some might find this overly materialistic and a little bit competitive even. Now, this does lead me into number 10. While I don't want to really get into politics, it is something to take note of if you're thinking about moving here to Dallas, as I'm sure where Dallas is in Texas, and Texas politics are conservative. If you're coming from a more progressive state, some of the policies here can be a big adjustment. For example, some of our policies on gun laws. In Texas, a lot of us like to carry, so these policies and a few others that are more conservative are something to take note of. Now, reason number 11 could be the limited entertainment. Dallas's entertainment scene heavily revolves around the nightlife. So this includes bars, clubs, and breweries. For people who don't drink or prefer some more quiet activities to do at night, options can feel a little bit limited. While there are museums, theaters, and outdoor spaces, some of these activities don't offer the same nightlife appeal that something like a bar would. However, some cities, such as Plano, Arlington, Frisco, do focus on a little bit more family-friendly activities, and we are seeing more options when it comes to entertainment. We're seeing more late night cafes, dessert bars, and we are seeing a few more family-friendly venues opening up in areas such as the Bishop Arts District and even Deep Ellum. However, with Deep Ellum, I definitely don't know if this would be a family-friendly area, but the city is kind of trying to bring more options to people. There's also growth in immersive entertainment experiences. For example, we're seeing options such as escape rooms, axe throwing, and a lot more family-friendly activities being hosted at the AT&T Discovery District in downtown. They'll do things such as movie nights, performances, and even food truck gatherings. So with some of these new projects, this will hopefully bring a lot more family-friendly activities, especially for the nightlife. Lastly, my reason number 12 is the education system. The quality of public schools in Dallas varies quite widely. While some school districts like Highland Park ISD and even districts in surrounding suburbs like Plano ISD are highly rated, others in more undeserved areas struggle with funding, teacher shortages and retention, and overcrowded classrooms. So if you're a parent, I'm assuming this is very important to you. And so if you're thinking about moving to the Dallas area, I would definitely recommend doing a lot of research. That way you can ensure that your kids are going to get a quality education. This disparity between districts can lead to a significant difference in educational experiences, even within a very short distance. Dallas ISD has implemented incentives, for example, the Accelerating Campus Excellence Program, which incentivizes highly effective teachers to work in underperforming schools. The district is also expanding its magnet schools and dual language immersive programs. That way they can attract more families and improve what they're offering overall. So now that you know a little bit more about whether or not you actually want to move to Dallas, Texas, you might be wondering, well, what are some more pros and cons of living in Dallas? If you're curious, feel free to check out this video. And if you're thinking, well, what are the most affordable suburbs to live in Dallas? I also have you covered with this video right here.